Warning, what you're about to hear are opinions expressly made by me, for me, and anybody else that feels my things. Children, we're using coarse language, so if you don't like it, tough, turn it off. Parents, if you don't like what I'm going to say, tough, turn it off. Okay, here's what we want to talk about today. All the commercials out there about ED drugs versus commercials about condoms. Now, I don't know about most of you, but I'm tired of seeing Bob talk about his male enhancement pills versus not seeing any commercials, or I haven't seen any commercials, talk about condoms for safe sex. Now, advertisers might want to, think they need to shy away from, we can't talk about condoms or safe sex because that means we'll get emails from the PTC or any other religious group that doesn't want to have anything like that talked about, because if we ignore kids having sex, the problem will go away. Guess what? It won't. My parents told me when I was young, I'm 37 right now, so we're talking in the mid-80s, early 90s, that if I was going to have sex, I better wear a condom. Why? Because of AIDS and any other sexually transmitted disease. That wasn't in the forefront of my mind. My thought was, I don't want to have a child before I'm ready. So I used condoms. My parents never had to tell me to use them. They just said it'd be smart to use them. So I did. And yes, I had premarital sex. Ooh, that's scary. He had premarital sex. Guess what? Kids out there are going to have it. So parents, if you don't talk about it, and Johnny or Jill comes home and says, guess what, I got a girl pregnant, or guess what, Mom and Dad, I'm pregnant, because you didn't want to have the condom talk with them, that's your fault. Because you think that if you don't talk about it, it'll go away. It won't happen. No, not my child. It won't happen to my child. Guess what? It will. Now, all these ED drugs, it's big money, yes, to men that can't have an erection. Well, I'm sorry, some people can't have an erection. Maybe it's due to the medicine they're on. I was on the medicine that prevented that. My doctor asked me if I wanted ED drugs. I said no. Why? Because of a lot of the side effects. We're talking about heart problems. I'm a big guy. I already know I have heart problems. It runs in my family on my father's side. My grandfather and my uncle died of heart attacks. So, I chose not to take those drugs. My wife understood, and that when we did have sex, we had great sex. It wasn't every week, but when we had sex, it was enjoyable sex. And she was the only woman I had sex with without a condom. That was after we were married. Before we were married, I used a condom. I don't see why people make such a big deal over, yes, we can put out commercials about erectile dysfunction, or you can have an erection within 36 hours of taking this pill. You're having kids take these pills. Why? Because it's a fad. It's a new drug. Let's do this so I can walk around school all day with an erection. Listen, kids don't need these drugs. Kids are stealing them from their parents because Dad has a little problem. Well, Dad, if maybe you had talked to your wife about your problem and it was possibly psychological, then you wouldn't have these problems. But if you had an honest-to-God medical condition that required them, don't leave them out where the kids can see. Don't tell the kids you're on the drugs, because the kids will steal them, the kids will take them, and then you're going to might have to bury your kid because he OD'd on your drug. Parents, you need to teach your kids about safe sex practices. And just because, we can't let them see this on TV because they'll go out and be promiscuous, guess what? They're kids. They're going to do it. The more you hide it, the more they're going to do it. But if we tell them that about condoms and all this, they're going to want to go out and use them and have promiscuous sex. It's going to happen anyway. It's the nature of the child. If you have a child that will remain abstinent and not do anything sexual until they get married, fine. More power to you. But you should at least have the talk with them and not just ignore it. Okay? If you don't like what I say, tough. If you like what I say, I'm glad you appreciate the time I took to do this. And you have told your friends that have kids to have the talk about them, about sex. And companies out there, if anybody out there knows the companies that do this, tell them this. Enough with it. I don't need to see Bob and Enzyte dressed up as Santa Claus with his wife holding a gigantic candy cane phallus symbol with the hot little brunette shaking her ass because, ooh, she's going to sit on his lap and feel his pull. I'm tired of that. My son sees it. He's 4. How do I explain that to him? Daddy, why is he sitting on her lap shaking like that? I don't want to do that. And this is during normal viewing hours for my son. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Get the ED drugs off the air and at least have safe sex commercials or safe sex talks with the kids so they know what's going on. And parents, if you got to supply your kids, your boys with condoms or your daughters with condoms so their boyfriend will wear them, do it. Because we don't need problems like we have now. Bye!